The Endurance E-Racing World Championship Le Mans 24 Hours is brought to you by ESR Esports Network, Leap Gaming, SimLab, Husingfeld, Simplexity, Acetech, and AMD Ryzen Radio.
Welcome back to the GTR 24H EEWC here from Le Mans. Still 19 hours here to go, and yeah, we've had an hour in the commentary box now, me and Cam, and yeah, we've still got another 4 to go here before Yusuf and Alex rejoin you for about 3 hours time, and then through the night it's various combinations of me and somebody else, Ossian for the most part, I think. But yeah, it's a long way to go. Still in this race, we've been watching Jimmy Nasula get past I can't remember how you told me to say this, World of Sim Racing anyway, Misk or something like that. This very confusing driver who has a very consonant-filled name, which is very annoying for those who speak English and who are English, but yeah, either way, Jimmy Nasula is through, and Adam Baldwin has confusingly come out 15 or so seconds behind, which suggests a tyre stop, whereas the others haven't.
Yeah, that would certainly suggest that, unless there was an extra issue there that we didn't see. But yeah, that could be to do with tyres and maybe just being offset in some way. But yeah, he's obviously lost a decent amount of time there, actually. So if that is tyres, he'll now need to make up this extra few seconds over the course of the next stint. Obviously, don't want to be just losing time, and then because obviously if you are always Calvin Reinhardt DNFs actually, so I have to check on that in a second. But yeah, if you make a stop for tyres, you then need to make that extra time back. You need to use the extra speed that you've got, but yeah, going back to that, the 888 Calvin Reinhardt, I think it's AC Sim Motorsport, has DNF'd, and I'm just going to quickly try and have a look as to what happened to him, because it was fairly sudden. Let's see if we can work out what's happened here.
Yeah, it could be a disconnection or a crash or any number of real issues here. So we'll find out in a few moments' time. But yeah, for the moment we are unsure as to where that's gone wrong for AC Motorsports. Obviously not the only LMP2 with issues so far today. HM Engineering and Ferris Stanley blew an engine in this race, and so now that they haven't reconnected, they haven't continued. And so they are going to be finishing this race last, no points and nothing like that. A real shame for HM Engineering, but I believe they will be back for future seasons in the EEWC. I can't quite remember how many it was. I think it's a 2-year deal they struck, so that they will be in the EEWC for another couple of years to come, and that is definitely a good thing.
Yes, as he is seeing long-term deals and contracts and everything like that. It's always good to see commitment into the future. So yeah, good on them for coming and sticking around for a little bit longer. It's always nice to see. As we are now seeing Marco Slanzi, number 33, game drive seat, coming in to the pit lane, and he is coming in obviously for another pit stop here.
Yes, he is.
Who was he fighting with? It was
Munich.
Munich, wasn't it?
No, it's now Guillaume Mas of One Move Esports. I guess that S is probably silent, actually, if he's French, but never mind. We'll soldier on. Slanzi is still in that car, I believe, and Guillaume Mas has got through, has he? I can't quite tell.
He has.
It's close, but he has indeed got through.
Yeah, sorry, that was confusing me, because obviously Dominic has now, swapped out of the car for Guilherme Mas. So yeah, obviously looking for the driver name in the listing wasn't useful in that scenario. But yes, even Chinchik has got past the drive game seat entry as well. So they've lost a little bit of time there over the course of that pit stop sequence, because he's now 2 places and about 20 or so seconds behind the number 11.
Yeah, don't forget Chinsik is recovering from earlier problems that he's had in this race, where he rear-ended the Dueces eSports car and took the rear ring off the LMP2 that was in front, but he also got suspension damage himself and so had to pit for it. Henry Drury, meanwhile, is briefly into the lead of the race because Mitch Hoyer has got out for Jurnej Simencic. And now Drury is relinquishing that race lead. Luca D'Amelio is going to be out somewhere near him. We're not quite sure where just yet, but we'll find out in due course. But Jurnej Simencic is in a short stint there from Hoyer, only 2 actual stints, a double stint on the tyres, and that was it, getting Hoyer out early and saving him for a little bit later on. But Jurnej Simencic is now in that car, and it's going to be even more difficult to catch it now.
Certainly is. Jurnej obviously got the pole position back at the Virtual Le Mans in this car. They were using the Orica in that race as well, so he knows exactly what to do with this car around this track. And I wouldn't be surprised if he now starts pulling away even more than what maybe some of the other drivers did. Henry Drury now coming into the pit lane, and Luca D'Amelio coming now into the 4 chicanes to see if he can get out back ahead of Drury. Obviously there was quite a short gap between those drivers. Now Henry is pulling away, but it depends how much of the pit lane he's still got left, as he actually had a decent pit stop there. But yeah, there goes Luca to retake that position. So Ricky Monster's doing pretty well, having to start from further back than they would have liked, but still on the podium for now.
That was about 3 seconds before they came in. Now what is the gap going to be after they've been in? It's actually way more than that. 7 seconds I'm seeing on the first reading. We'll see if it improves in terms of Rookie Monsters at all. No, it's actually getting worse. So that is not so good for Team Rookie Monsters. But as you say, they come from a long way back, to be fair to them. 13th position on the grid here today, and so that means they have really jumped up onto the podium now. A great drive from them in their charge to try and secure the championship in that category. They're fighting ID SimSport and One Move Esports, both of whom they are seeing off at the moment. So as it stands, Rookie Monsters are looking good, not only for a podium, although it's early, but they are also looking good for a championship.
Yeah, that is cannot be forgotten. Obviously, this is not just one race, but it is also the championship that's been going on over this year. We obviously had the 12 hours of Sebring, 12 hours of the Nürburgring GP, and then obviously 24 hours of Matsusaka a couple of months ago before the finale here in Le Mans. But there's prizes not only for Le Mans itself, but also for the championship, of course. So that is to be looked out for as well. However, there's no point really looking into the maths just yet, because so much can happen with so much time left in a 24-hour race. Just got to keep going as we've gone into the 19th hour to go now. So yeah, 18 hours and 57 minutes to go. So yeah, looking fairly good for some of these drivers, but you've got to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still a fair amount of time left in this one. So Blake Checkitts is now out of the pit lane once again. Dueces eSports are closing on Varga. They came out quite a long way behind after that little altercation that they had. They are now much closer than they were before, and that is great news for them. ProSim have come out in 8th place as we expected, so that's another round of LMP2 pit stops which has ended, and so now we'll see now where the battles are going to come from. Looks like IDOS and Rookie Monsters are one of the closer pairings as it stands at the moment. I believe Varga and Drillers were quite close as well, and they are indeed. Blake Checkitts is doing a great job actually catching Marcel Chinsik at the moment, and he said, or Ernest Lappin said to us a little bit earlier on, that he is one of their weaker drivers, so that's a quite surprising prospect actually, and quite a worrying prospect as well.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Ernest, he's a good driver. You know, he's very quick and he does know what he's doing in that car. So maybe he's just been a little bit kind to himself. But I mean, having said that, they do have some good drivers in there. You know, they've got James Zuber, Jamie Tatui, Bojan Bogdanov, and also obviously Blake Checkitts, who's in the car. So there are good drivers in there. I'll have to see how this one works out throughout the course of the race when those drivers get into the cars as well.
Yeah, absolutely. it's going to be interesting, that is for sure. Now, Marcel Chinzik, I was looking at him a little moment ago. We'll see now if I can find him again and see if there is actually going to be a battle now between Varga and Drillers. That would be good to see. You can just see in the background now of that shot of Varga that there is a looming prospect of Blake Checketts in behind, and there is some looming GT traffic as well for the 5th placed LMP2 car. There's one of the GT3 McLarens and one of the GTE Ferraris. I don't know which that is at the moment, but it looks like he might be able to clear them both on this straight, and they want to do that, of course, because these GT cars have an awful lot less downforce than these prototypes, and so it means they can absolutely fly through the Porsche curves, whereas those GTs definitely cannot.
Yeah, the difference in speed in this part of the track for all these fast corners is quite incredible. Actually, as we got one of the DSR cars going off there, hopefully he rejoins fairly nicely. Didn't get involved with anyone. Checketts gets a bit checked up there, pardon the pun, as we come into Corvette, the final of the corners, and then he's obviously going to be getting past that McLaren there as he comes up towards the Ford chicane, coming up to this DSR car. Can't see which number it is just yet, but obviously this is the types of corners that these prototypes really get held up through the awkward corners where you can't overtake in their one line. And now he's obviously going to be able to get past on the straight, and then going to be trying to catch up to Marcel Chinzik, who's only a few seconds up the road now.
He lost a bit of time actually there, did Blake Checketts, so much so that the drive seat gaming car is now kind of looming. 3 seconds is that margin, but now if you just look at that car, he is now involved in the traffic that Checketts had to negotiate just a moment ago. So around the outside of a Corvette now, down towards the S's, and he gets that place all fine. Bit of a slide from the Corvette, but that's all normal really for a GT car. And now he's going to go through Tete Rouge as well. Now onto the Mulsanne straight towards the first chicane. 4 seconds is the gap between Davide Arduini and Blake Checketts at the moment. Can't say I've heard of Arduini before, but seems to be doing a pretty decent job out there for drive seat gaming.
Yet to say truth, nor have I, but yeah, he's doing pretty well at the moment. So hopefully they can. I mean, to be honest, this team in general, Drive Game Seats, they've been around for the last couple of years now, done a lot of endurance racing, and they have quite a big presence in obviously Italian sim racing. So hopefully they can, improve as the years and seasons go on. But yeah, looking pretty good in that number 33 at the moment, just getting past that Aston Martin there. And while we were talking about these, I just had a quick look back to the overall lead between Khan and Hemmingsen. And Hemmingsen did lose about 7 seconds, staying out longer, but then he's gained that back. So I don't think this battle is over between Seawolf and Drillers at the front of the field either. So I think we're going to be looking at a bit of a battle at some point between those cars, but obviously not just for the time being, but that is still something to look out for in the background, as obviously this battle in the LMP2 category is starting to get pretty close as well.
Yeah, it's going to be close in the overall. I think that those two teams are much more evenly matched than we initially gave them credit for, especially in terms of Seawolf. I thought they were going to be a little bit slower, but there's two things that might ruin that ever so slightly. The fact that Drillers, I think, are going to be making 2 pit stops less actually than Seawolf in this race, as early calculations go anyway, and the fact that Ibrahim Khan hasn't got out of that car yet. What are his teammates like, is the next question I would have. Well, I'll tell you who they are. To start off with Ben Crooks, Marcelo Tocco and Linus Lundvall. If you put those guys up against the Dueces eSports team, you have to say that maybe they're not quite as well known, as well established as the Drillers team, but they might be able to pull up a surprise here today. I think this odds, despite the fact they're leading, I think the odds are stacked against them.
Yeah, they're certainly not. Not obviously not the the absolute best lineup in the world, but they're still leading with Khan at the moment. And if they can keep Khan in for as long as possible, which is, I assume, why he's still racing now, as we have just clocked over 310 minutes so far of the session. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and keep him in for as long as they can during the race, if they do believe he is obviously the faster driver in that car. I have heard of Lundvall as well, and he is still pretty quick. Maybe not as quick as Khan, but he can probably hold his own. The other two, obviously, we are a little bit unaware, so we'll have to see how the one works out. But either way, they're still in that lead, and they've still got that track position which they've held for quite a while now.
Yeah, they have indeed, doing it very respectably indeed, especially considering what actually happened throughout the qualifying sessions. I thought they were going to get walked all over in this race, but they are not by any means. Someone corrected me in the YouTube chat, by the way. I've been saying Drive Seat Gaming for the whole time. It's Drive Game Seat, and I've just got my words in the wrong order there, so I apologise for that. But yeah, I'll try and do better throughout the rest of the race. Still a long time for me to correct myself, so there we go. Hopefully we can get that one right, or mainly me can get that one right as the weekend unfolds and as this game continues and this race continues on. They're still catching Blake Checkett. It's actually really closing in now to below 2 seconds, and that is good to see now. So we may indeed actually get a battle here in LMP2. We may also get one between Nisula and Mace again, because those two are only 2 seconds apart, with Adam Baldwin bearing down on them both.
Yeah, multiple battles to look out for here, which is awesome to see, despite being, over 5 hours into the race now. And these guys are obviously, trying to push as hard as they can, which just shows you the 24 hours does still end up being a huge sprint race for these drivers. As Masuda now is just getting past some traffic for this battle as well, but the cars behind aren't looking too bad, and as you say, Baldwin closing in a little bit. We did mention that he was lost a bit of time somewhere, obviously with the pit stop sequence potentially taking some tyres, but he has caught that back up, and if he keeps this going, he's probably going to get back on to the back of the World of Sim Racing car number 51 by the end of this stint, so he's doing pretty good to regain that time lost.
Yeah, 4 seconds it is at the moment, and it's still closing in this battle for second place, which is between Satellite, World of Sim Racing, Dueces Motorsports Club, 3 of the best GT teams you could find here on R-Factor 2, and they're all battling it out. They're all in the wake of Musto GD-eSports, though, who really picked themselves up after qualifying. They were quite far down the order, started this race from 8th place in their class, and they were off the pace by a second and a bit to those 3 teams after the first part of qualifying. Didn't participate in night qualifying, so they have started down in 8th, but they've had a fantastic race up until now. It's been great to see from them, and it's the only way they can really take this championship by the scruff of the neck. Obviously, Sympathy Race are not having the best of days, and they're down in 7th, so they would likely have won it anyway at Musto, and I'm saying it like they have already got it won, but Musto are in the perfect possible position to possibly take a Le Mans victory and a championship home with them as well.
Yeah, they certainly are done really well so far, really well so far, to get himself in that amazing position. But that just shows you the ability of that team. We've said it all the way through the season, through the 3 previous races, that they are pretty much the best GTE pairing that we've got here at the GTR 24H, so no surprise seeing them at the top, but they still have to do the work and still have to finish the race, because obviously that is when the points are given. So yes, still got a long way to go, can't make any mistakes, but certainly looking pretty good for now with them. In the 53, got Brioni in the car at the moment, and yeah, looking pretty good. But we do have this battle now forming heavily. In fact, Czech is going to have to start defending here from Ardrini in the number 33 drive game seat entry, as they now come into the first Mulsanne chicane before working their way out onto this middle section of the Mulsanne. which is another overtaking opportunity indeed. But it's one of these things that you have to set up the car ahead of you. You don't just fly past. The slipstream isn't that big. You do have to start in the correct way. You've got to get yourselves in a good location and a good position to the car ahead to try and get that slipstream. But if he can brake nicely now into the second Mustang chicane, which I think he's done fairly nicely, he will then get the slipstream down into the better overtaking position. That is Mustang corner itself. Nice hard braking zone down to first gear, or maybe second if you're feeling lucky as well. But once again, it's one of those situations where you have to build up to an overtake and use the momentum to your advantage.
I think it's one of those situations where Blake Checkitts is actually losing a bit of pace here, and Arduini is kind of gaining a bit of speed as he goes along. It's more the fact that drillers are slowing down rather than Drive Game Seat speeding up, if you see what I mean. They took 1.5 seconds just about out of Blake Checkitts on the last lap, and now the gap is still where it was at the moment, because my timing won't update, but that's probably the main reason for that. But I'm also expecting, by the way, Ibrahim Khan to come in pretty shortly. It must be coming towards the end of his stint, and we're about 7 laps still away from a pit stop from Martin Hemmingsen. But yeah, we'll focus on the battles now down in LMP2 and GTE as well. It's all starting to hot up.
It certainly is. Arduini, he's getting close, but he hasn't got close enough to really make an overtake. So Blake Checkitts is doing really well. However, they have dropped off the back of Chinchik quite a lot now. Quite a few seconds have passed. So yeah, they're obviously trying to do their best, but Chinchik is just pulling away a little bit too much for these guys at the moment. As we are having Calvin Reinhardt has, I think, finally got back into the race, but he's left and rejoined a couple of times, and he's now actually had a couple of laps given back to him in his favour by the race direction as well. So obviously he's lost many laps either way, many positions due to that. So yeah, quite nice that he can at least give him some laps back as we come to start another lap. And we have had a change in the car for Seawolf. So Ben Crooks is now in that Seawolf car after some 5 and a bit hours from Ibrahim Khan, and also Bobby Trudley has finally got out with Sandro Ballesteros getting in that car. So 2 driver changes there for second and third place in the hypercar category.
Seems that 5.5 hours is the maximum that these guys can do on one stint, and so Khan and Trundley have both got into that car now, out of their cars now, and maybe they'll come up for a chat. If you are or just coming out of I suppose if you're in the car as well, that'll be quite dangerous, but you can talk to us if you want to. But preferably if you've finished your stint, then you can pop yourself in the green room and we'll have a bit of a chat about what has been going on, and it'd be nice to hear from some of these drivers. But interesting race happening at the moment. Still LMP2 and GTE battles continuing on. I'm trying to see what's happening because the live timing's gone, and so as well the PCs. So but it looks like Varga's battling, and not Varga, sorry, Driller's battling now.
Yeah, so Blake Checkitts is now having to defend from Arduini, number 33, going down the inside of the second Mustang chicane. He's finally made that stick. He's had to be there for a couple of laps, but he's now made that move for a 6th place in class for them. So now Drillers go back down another position there. So need to try and get this one back, but it does seem that Arduini's just got the pace over Checkitts, so maybe when they get to a driver swap a little bit later on, then they will start maybe getting some pace back. But Blake is still doing a pretty decent job for now.
I feel like that Arduini's car, the Drive Game Seat car, looks very similar to the Varga one. I'm not entirely sure, really. They do look really similar, actually, from what I can see, anyway. But Chinchik is just dancing off up the road ever so slightly at the moment. He's got about 10 seconds, possibly even more than that now. But Jimmy Nasula, I think, is about to be embroiled in a battle as well. Anna Baldwin is catching him as well as Mace as well. well, and here we go. This is at least a two-car battle, so World of Sim Racing are being caught ever so slightly, and Jimmy Nasula is just a little bit up the road. You can just see him in the distance of their shot. He's about 4 seconds off up the road, but now we have a battle between Baldwin and Mesk, and it's taken Baldwin not that long actually to catch up to those two in front, so this strategy is working out for them at the moment, providing he can make his way through, of course.
We're going to be 3 wide here with 3 classes all going overtaking each other as Hemmingsen goes past there to get past these guys, as these two get past the GT3 leader of Chris Shepherd in the Wanako, but now Dueces with Adam Baldwin all over the back of World of Sim Racing, and they're going to be getting the slipstream coming up to the second Mulsanne chicane. Obviously the exact same car, so this is all slipstream. There's no difference in the car, and it looks like he's going to just about get enough to come alongside into the braking zone. And this is quite a nice braking zone actually, because he's on the inside. He should be able to make this overtake as he does on the brakes, although Mace tried to keep it there but didn't have enough, and Adam Baldwin now is up into 3rd place in class, and that what we believe was a pit stop for tyres when the others didn't take it dropped him back, but he's now absolutely freight training these guys, because he's already pulled away from Mace in one corner, and now his eyes will be firmly set on Nasula, who's only a few seconds up the road in the number 65 satellite entry.
Yeah, not too far away, so it's going to be a good battle between those two now. I think in the background there is one of the BMWs. I don't think that's DGTL, because they're a little bit further away than that. Yeah, they're quite a long way further back down the order, but it could be one of the ID SimSport cars actually. Yeah, either way, they're not involved in this battle with Baldwin and Nasula and Mesk as well. They're all about to be converging on each other, I would imagine here. So we'll see now how long it takes Adam Baldwin to catch up. I'm not sure when he's going to be pitting either, but we're presuming it's going to be about on the hour mark, because that seems to be the order of the day with regards to GT cars, and that it normally is at motor circuits actually. So we're expecting them in on the hour possibly, which is still about half an hour away, so Baldwin has quite a long time to reel in Nasula at any kind of pace he likes. But don't forget, we're probably going to see Baldwin not take tyres at this next pit stop, and we are going to see Nasula take tyres.
Yeah, it depends if they're obviously double, because it could have been a situation where they were just out of sync by each other, say they were both double stinting but they were one stint out, or it could just be that Dueces are single stinting. We'll have to see how that one works out, but certainly this is exactly what we mentioned. If you take tyres, you obviously do drop back, but then look how much quicker he's caught up. He was 10-12 seconds behind these guys, and he's already caught up and overtaken with half the stint remaining, so that is looking pretty good for him. But also looking pretty good is Ewan Simoncic. He's just done a purple lap for the LMP2 category with a 26.7, which is pretty quick indeed, but a second quicker than the best of the cars around him, and about 4 seconds quicker than Luca D'Amelio. So that was obviously a pretty clean lap from Simoncic in the number 5 Burst Edge eSports entry. So once again, the master is going to work and really starting to pull a gap on Luca D'Amelio, who's almost a minute behind now.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect anything less from Ewan Simoncic really, and he is putting out the lap times at the moment, to be expected, that's for sure. Apologies, by the way, for those of you who are trying to access live timing at gtr24h.org/timing. You can normally get timing, but unfortunately it is down at the moment. We are trying to work on the issue and fix it so that we can actually see the timing screen, see the lap times that are coming in, but we don't really need a timing screen to find out that Ewan Simoncic is going quickly, because he almost always is, to be honest, and so that's what he's doing right now, extending the gap to Luca D'Amelio. I'm not sure if he's being caught by Henry Drury really, but the gap is more than what it was before their last round of pit stops, so it seems that rookie monsters are losing out in almost every pit stop cycle I've seen for the last couple of hours.
I do wonder if that's going to be some some strategy. Who knows? Maybe it could literally just be the different drivers in the car. Obviously, Henry himself is part of the administration of GTR, so maybe he's had a little bit less time doing some behind-the-scenes work, not enough time to do some practice, but he's still doing some pretty decent laps indeed, as he's now going to be just overtaken by Hemmingsen, who is still out there. But as another half an hour goes past, we will take a quick message from our sponsors, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes to continue the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
The Endurance E-Racing World Championship Le Mans 24 Hours is brought to you by ESR eSports Network, Wheat Gaming, SimLab, Husingfeld, Simplexity, Acetec, and AMD Ryzen Radio.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
eSports? Do you hate watching laggy streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens? Oh my god! Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore. He has a jump, son!
Welcome back to the GTR 24H EEWC from Le Mans. 24 hours here at the Circuit del South, of course, and yeah, we've still got 18 and a half hours to go. Very, very long time is indeed left, and so it's still Martin Hemmingsen now leading, of course, because Ben Crooks has been into the pit lane, or Martin Hemmingsen has been in, and then Ben Crooks has taken over, so now we've got a bit of a difference in strategy. But yeah, I believe Martin Hemmingsen is not too far away from a pit stop. I'm not entirely sure how close he is yet, but I believe he's going to be pitting on lap 95, if I remember correctly. It could even be 96, depending on how long he's going on this set of tyres, because he did actually do 20 laps, I believe, on the last stint, so maybe he can go even longer. But I don't know if you picked up anything there, Cam. I know you were riding on board with him. Is he doing much fuel saving? Is he doing any fuel saving, really, throughout this stint?
Well, just by the numbers, I can tell you, if he's doing 20 lap stints, then yes, even 19. I remember, I think last year we were doing like 17, maybe say for 18. So if he's doing 19/20, then he's obviously doing a lot. And yes, we went on board during the commercial break, just have a quick look at what he's doing, and he is saving. He is saving a little bit. He's driving fairly conservatively into the braking zones, but then he's absolutely sending it through the corners. So he's trying to keep his minimum speed up as much as possible and trying to be as efficient as possible with where you use the power of the engine. So he is certainly doing that fairly well for the moment, because obviously he's getting many laps, and this fuel saving may not necessarily work in his favor at the moment, but if they can save one pit stop or even 2 pit stops, or just in some way have a shorter pit stop in the final stint, all of that is going to be a benefit. Well, obviously that's something to look for many hours down the line, but if he's saving 2-3 laps a stint, he only needs to do that for what's that, like 6 hours to save a full stint, which means he could in theory save 4 pit stops during the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the maximum.
Yeah, that's a lot of pit stops to be saving, and that is going to be crucial throughout this race. If you look at the gap at the moment, even saving 1 pit stop could give them a big advantage. If you see at the moment, the gap is 1.5 minutes and more than that right now. So it's a huge margin that you just save by not doing that extra pit stop. Yeah, that's what you're seeing right now, and that's why Hemmingsen is leading the race. But we've got to expect him into the pit lane at least shortly. Not entirely, as I mentioned, not entirely sure when, but he's not too far away from a pit stop. But as we keep mentioning, every time these two come into the pit lane, the Drillers and the Seawolf cars get closer and closer in terms of when they're going to pit, and there's going to become a point where they pit on the same lap again, but it will mean that Drillers come out a long way in front of Seawolf, as you see right now, more than a minute it looks like. So at the moment it seems that the strategy game is being won pretty comprehensively by Drillers.
Yeah, they're certainly playing the long game, and I believe on the lap just gone, Hemmingsen actually set a purple first sector, so he's obviously still pushing quite hard as we get to the end of this stint. We'll have to see when he finally makes a pit stop, but we are now on to lap 94, completed 93 laps in this race. So he was getting to that time, because you said about 95, so maybe this lap or the next he's going to be coming in, and then we'll really get to see. But the last lap as well was 2.2 seconds quicker than Ben Crooks, so it is I think working right now. And obviously with Khan being out the car, we do believe Khan is that's the Seawolf's best driver, so we would expect now maybe some time lost also just from the driver swaps.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that these guys have to contend with, obviously, with it being so long. You've got to share it out, obviously, but yeah, it's still Hemmingsen leading. We'll see if he pits here in a moment, and then we'll probably focus on some battles a little bit further down the order. I wonder if Adam Baldwin maybe is getting closer to Jimmy Nisula. We'll find out in a moment as Hemmingsen stays out for now. Baldwin looks like he's just about a second and a bit behind where Jimmy Nisula is. Yeah, that could be one to watch a little bit later on. I saw that David Young as well was catching up to the third place car, the Team Brick car. I can't remember who got into that though, because what's his name, Bobby Trundley had just got out of that car, and now he's been swapped for somebody else. So we'll see who actually did get into that car, but David Young, either way, it was Ballesteros. Either way, David Young is closing in ever so slightly, and there's also a battle in GTE.
Yeah, a couple of battles are forming. David Young is 8.8 seconds behind Ballesteros at the moment for Scuderia Bezelia, whereas Nisula is only about 1.4 seconds ahead of Adam Baldwin. They've dropped World of Serum Racing Mishek in the number 51 car by 9 seconds now, so Baldwin and Nisula really starting to pull away there for this position for second and third in class, as Luca Di Meglio has come into the pit lane, so he will be obviously trying to see what he can do with the strategy. He was obviously a little bit ahead of Henry Drury, so I have to see how that one works out with the pit stop as well. But obviously this battle for the GTE is obviously one to focus on, with Baldwin now starting to get within about a second now of Nisula as we come to the end of this lap.
This battle is really starting to close now. I think that's a GT3 car just in front as well, which is going to slow down Nisula through the Ford chicanes at the end of the lap. It is one of the McLarens. I think it's the DIS SR Lab car, actually, the 45, currently running in third place in GT3. And now they come onto the main straight. Just look at this now. It is close, and we're looking at this. Is there going to be a move into turn 1 of Nisula? That's not actually the DAS SR Lab car. Or maybe it is. From different angles, it looks like different cars to me at the moment. But either way, Nisula is stuck behind, and that is the important thing. Look at Adam Baldwin now. He is right on the back of the satellite racing car. As
they get Viaducting coming past them as well in the Hypercar, this could be a little bit awkward. Although actually they have sat behind. But yeah, this is where it is a little bit difficult for the GTEs, because as we mentioned previously, the GT3s aren't actually that much slower in reality. So there are a couple of sections of the track where they're basically the same speed, give or take, as another Hypercar is trying to come through there in the background. That is
stuck
Ballesteros, and he's having to go left, right, up and down to get past these cars, and this is going to give an opportunity for Adam Baldwin to now come and get in the step sheet, go three GTEs wide, coming down to the first chicane on the Mulsanne. Who's going to come out on top? It looks like Adam Baldwin has got past the McLaren there, but has he got past Nisula coming into the braking zone? I think he has. So Adam Baldwin goes up into second place there, using the traffic perfectly, and now he is going to see if he can pull away with a few laps still to go in this stint. But that is a really good overtake there by Baldwin, used the circumstance to his advantage, and now he's up into second place.
Yeah, that was a great pass there from Baldwin, just to get through on Dewey Nisula. He had the new tyres, of course, which are going to advantage him massively in this one, but he's also able to get through either way. I'm trying to search for the World of Sim Racing car in the background, but it's 15 seconds. Maybe something's happened to Mess, but he's really falling back here. That can't be the pace of that car, because he was doing some great laps earlier on, but now he seems to be really falling away.
His last lap was 10 seconds slower, apparently. That is quite interesting if that is the truth. But it looks like Nisula might actually be starting to come back a little bit on Adam Baldwin as we come into Mulsanne corner. He's getting a little bit close. Baldwin's not pulled away quite as easily as he did to Misk, so maybe there's still some speed left and still some fight. But if Nisula is on now double stinted at least tyres, then it is going to be a little bit difficult for him to start catching up, or re-overtaking, I should say.
Yeah, it is, and I can't see that happening anytime soon, although he is in the slipstream at the moment, and they've got the Glam Racing Aston in front of them. That's a GT3 car, and it passes, one of them gets through into Indianapolis. Looks like Nisula is going to have to stick behind for now, and he does do into Arnage. He'll be able to get him on the run. Oh, that was a bit of a lock-up though, and nearly a bit of a rear end there from the Glam Racing car. I wonder who's driving that at the moment. It is Lee Russell still. He's trying to run away from the DIS SR Lab car, so I was right about that a little bit earlier on, because these two GTEs tried to get past him a few minutes ago and just about managed it, but we've got some more battles cropping up here. Tony Janssen and Mikhail Molle are closing in on each other. Fair Racing Team and Musto GD-eSports for 9th in class. And we've also got Sandro Ballesteros coming under big pressure now from David Ewan in the Scuderia Basilia car. Those two are starting to close in on each other as well.
Yeah, David John has done really well to catch up, but that just shows you, it seems Ballesteros is quite a way off the pace compared to the cars around him. He was, I believe, 6 seconds slower on the last lap, so David John's going to be all over the back at the end of this next lap. So unfortunately for E-Team Brit, it does look like Trundley did carry that pace a little bit more than what they potentially have on average. So now David John is going to be catching up over the course of this next lap. He's now getting roughly within a second, and he's looking pretty good to get past in the next lap or so. And that would put Basilia on the podium for Le Mans Hypercar, which would be a really nice result for them, as I believe this is the first time that team specifically has raced in the Hypercar. Although I think Mark Veit did previously in the VEC, but I'm pretty sure at least David Jutton, this might be his first race, so they're obviously trying to learn this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, they are indeed just in the 6th room at the moment, and I thought they were actually an outside shot for the race win here, but it looks like that is not to be, as Blake Checkett looks like he's having a bit of a problem here. Dropping down, or somebody's dropping down the, oh, it's pit stops are happening, that's why. That was clever. David, and now Junt gets through. Ballesteros doesn't put up any kind of fight at all. There's just no point at this stage of the race. With David Junt being so much faster, Ballesteros has decided that it is not a good idea to actually battle at this point.
Yeah, not always the best idea to battle, especially when the pace advantage of Junt at this moment is quite significant. So now they need to try and catch up to Ben Crooks, but he is already coming into Indianapolis, and apparently says he's a lap ahead as well. So quite a way for these guys if they want to challenge these top two.
Yeah, he is at the moment, and second place still. Martin Hemmingsen is still out there at the moment. We're not quite as far through the race as I thought in terms of laps, actually, and now he's finally come into the pit lane. So what is the gap going to be between Hemmingsen and Crooks when he indeed comes out? We'll find out, obviously, in about 30 seconds' time, or a minute. But yeah, it's going to be close as Jeroen Kweekel gets into that car. Another very fast Dutch driver who will be seeing how he gets on. But I haven't seen Kweekel in an endurance setting, I have to say. He's already moving, actually. So I think he's going to be out in front as it stands. And he leaves the pit lane now with Crooks only getting towards the Ford chicane. So Kweekel may be sent out on older tyres.
Yeah, Kweekel is, I would say, by now fairly experienced in endurance racing. I know he's done quite a few Le Mans 24s before. After he sort of left rFactor 2 at the end of 2016, he went and did quite a lot of stuff on iRacing for a couple of years before coming back to rFactor 2. And he was obviously in Drillers last season in the VEC in Division 2, and he's now racing for G-Drive in Division 1, so he certainly has a lot of experience in this car, so I would expect him to be fairly decent, actually, and probably pull away just a little bit more from Crooks, who's now 15 seconds behind. So if you remember, actually, this was the other way around. So before the pit stop, it was actually about 12 seconds in favour of Seawolf. Now it's 15 in arrears, which means that's a total of 27 seconds has been overturned over the course of the pit stop, and the Drillers staying out about another 7 or 8 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a real big turnaround and a great result there for Drillers in the end, as we are going to try and have a look at some of the battling that's going on between Glam Racing and DAS SR Lab, because the Aston Martin did briefly get through, presumably in a corner somewhere, and then there was a straight again, so the McLaren was able to just pull away as we complete another lap here at Le Mans, closing in on 100 laps at the front of the field, and in just a few minutes' time we'll be 6 hours into this race, so we'll be able to get a little bit of an idea of what we could expect in terms of a lap distance. The record here in GTR 24H was set back in 2018, where we had LMP1 cars with 413 laps. That's absolutely massive. So many laps, but the Hypercar record that was set last year, the only time we've had Hypercars in GTR. Oh, Monaco GT3 leaders have stopped out there on the circuit. Don't tell me they've run out of fuel. That would be an absolute disaster for that team who have led for the whole of this race so far, and it looks like they have no engine. They have just escaped, I guess, back to the pit lane. That could be absolutely massive.
And that is why you never get cocky, and you never, assume anything in endurance racing. That can happen. And yeah, Borja Milan, AI, DNF, he is out of the race. They can obviously try and join back, but that is, really not good news for these guys. So they do have a little way to the next car, who I believe is a DIS SR Lab car, but even when they join back, by the time they join back and they do an outlap and start their lap again, yeah, that's not going to be too good for them, as we have seen a couple of changes now. So Liam Rance has got in the car for Satellite Racing. He is now in the number 65 as they came in this lap, and now number 51, World of Sim Racing, Jose Barangur has got in there as well. So who was that? Adam Baldwin. He has stayed out for an extra lap, so he is putting himself in quite a good position, not only with that tyre strategy, but also with the fuel strategy. So we'll have to see if he comes in this lap. But yeah, just to reiterate, such a shame there for Wanako, who are now obviously trying to get back in the game. But now we just see Lee Russell go down deep on the inside of Mulsanne corner, but he went too deep there, and Lee Russell managed to get back past once again, and now they take the lead of the GT3 category.
Yeah, this is now the battle for the lead in that category, and this is going to be a great battle throughout the race. There's two such evenly matched teams, and surprisingly evenly matched cars, even though they are so different in so many ways, just visually as well as in a straight line. The McLaren is really, really good, and in the corners, the twisty parts, the McLaren is very, very good. Sorry, I've got I've said that completely wrong, but yeah, never mind, just ignore me for a moment. But yeah, he's going to have to try and get through again here. Just too late on the brakes there from the Glam Racing car. Lee Russell really trying to, and I can imagine it can be very frustrating when you can't get through like this, and you might know that you're faster as well. But it's just really, really frustrating. You can't get through at all. As in the in the LMP2 category, we've also got a move with Blake Checketts getting down the inside of Tony Janssen, and he is through now as Boya Malan rejoins the race, but he might still lose another lap because he's going to have to go around again to complete the lap that he started, if you see what I mean. So he could be a lap down, or maybe even two, by the end of this little thing that he's had to deal with here.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually worse than that, because obviously he was most of the way round a lap, so that lap is gone. Then he's going to have to then do an out lap to start that lap again. So he loses the lap that he was on, the out lap that he's going to do, and then to do that same lap again, so that's already 3 laps, plus the time it took him to get back in the game might be another lap. So he could be best part of 4 laps down here, which is really unfortunate, as now Tony Janssen going side by side around the outside of the kick in towards Indianapolis. That's going to be a big move if he could go around the outside, but he has made that stick, and he's gone down the inside now of Indianapolis. Has he made it on the brakes? Yes, he has. So Blake Checketts there down a position, and that is looking pretty good for Fair Racing Team, up into 9th place in the 334 car.
Yeah, they're not that far behind Musto, actually. You can just see in the foreground of this little battle between Janssen and Checketts. Just 2 seconds up the road, and Janssen doing a good job to defend there, with the American getting down the inside and through into the second Mulsanne chicane, and then back into Indianapolis. Janssen was able to get through, and I believe this is the closest battle on the circuit at the moment. It is certainly it's close pretty much everywhere in LMP2 at the moment, to be honest, because Guillaume Mas is under pressure from the Drive Game Seat car. Arduini is closing in, as the Dueces car, Adam Baldwin, is now behind DDTL. Is he going to be behind Satellite and World of Sim Racing, though? Because he's just making his pit stop at the moment, and World of Sim Racing came out 20 seconds behind Satellite, which suggests that they changed tyres where Satellite did not.
Let's have to see where this goes with obviously this GT E category, as Barbosa's coming out into turn number 1 now, so he's still going to keep the lead from Liam Rance, who's only obviously a couple of seconds behind. But obviously all these drivers now have actually or these teams have changed driver, so everyone's kind of fresh in the car. Everyone needs to now get up to speed and start learning the track, as they are all now side by side. As Checketts there trying to go through on the inside, as we come up now to Tech Rouge, and Janssen's actually played that fairly nicely with the traffic. Checketts had to back out of that, otherwise he would have been hitting the back of that Aston Martin. But they do have now Luca D'Amelio, who I believe is still in that car. Yes, he is. Luca D'Amelio in the IDOS car, the 717, is coming up behind them as well. So quite a lot happening here in this little part of the track. But just to reiterate, Janssen has now kept that position from Checketts, but they're keeping a little bit away now from Luca D'Amelio. However, they are going to have to let him through, because I assume Luca is a little bit quicker for the moment. However, João Barbosa now is going to have to get up to speed quickly, as he's going to have Liam Rance only a couple of seconds behind.
Yeah, these drivers, as you mentioned, all fresh, and Barbosa is just got into that car for the first time. Liam Rance has been in a little bit earlier on in this. I can't remember if he's been in earlier on in this race or if he has. No, he hasn't actually, because Jimmy Nasulu has been driving for a lot of that race so far. And their second driver, the Tom Capusta, has been in that car a little bit earlier on. Nasulu got back in, but now it's the turn of João Barbosa. The Portuguese driver is now out there and trying to stretch a bit of a margin over Liam Rance, and he has been able to do it actually. He's wedged one of the Aston Martins in between them, one of the GTE Astons though. I think it's probably an ID Simsport car, thinking about it. It must be the 177, but he's cleared him into the Mulsanne corner, skating in, but he's just about pulled it up there as Rance, and now he can fully chase down Barbosa because he's right in front of him for all to see. And Checkitz is also closing in and chasing Tony Janssen pretty comprehensively as well.
Yeah, he is staying there, so Janssen isn't pulling away. I'll see if Checkitz can try and get back past. Obviously, he probably would have got past had there not been the traffic, but that is obviously what happens when traffic gets involved. And just a quick side note, so Borja Milan has rejoined, but he's dropped quite a way down now. I have to just check on my other screen to see exactly where he is. But yeah, he is going to be 5 laps down, I believe. 5 laps down on the leader.
Wow.
So yeah, that is a lot of laps. A lot of laps he needs to get back. He is really hoping for a mistake or issues for other people, to be honest, with that kind of distance.
Yeah, he is. That's a really long trek back to the front of the field, and they're probably not going to be able to do it on pace alone, even though they are very, very quick indeed. Glam Racing and DIS SR Lab are both into the pit lane at the moment, by the way. The lead in GT3 is now on the line in the pit stops, as another hour is nearly about to be ticked off here. That's why you're seeing GT cars slowly start to make their way in. GTEs have been in a few laps ago, and now it's the turn of the GT3s as Janssen is having to defend once again from Checkitz.
Use of headlights now is mandatory. All drivers' use of headlights is now mandatory.
Yeah, drivers there just been told to turn on their headlights as we're now getting towards the start of the what we like to call is I can't see o'clock period of the race, where you get to that point where the headlights aren't bright enough to overcome the lack of sunlight, and obviously that point is going to be coming fairly shortly. But it seems that Luke D'Amelio hasn't actually been able to catch these guys, because Checkit has been pushing really hard to get all over the back of Janssen. But Janssen is holding on just for the moment, so he's doing a pretty good job there, holding on to that 6th place, I believe it is, in class.
Wide from Checkitz through the second Mulsanne chicane there, and it's going to hamper him all the way along this straight. Sorry, that's the first chicane. Hamper him all the way along this straight now towards the second chicane. He's got a couple of cars in behind, obviously D'Amelio, who's been trying to get on terms with these guys, but he really can't at the moment, and I'm not entirely sure why, because he should be faster in second place in the race, in class that is, at the moment. Pulling away, well, I say pulling away, he's kind of consolidated the margin he's got over Henry Drury at the moment, and that gap is not closing any. But in GTE, Barbosa and Rance are also battling, so it's kind of hard to know where to look at the moment, because we have got a 3-car train going on with Molle, Janssen and Checkitz. It is all going on here in LMP2 and GTE, which have been the most interesting categories so far. But in GT3, it's also on between Glam Racing and DIS SR Lab, and the TSR Nightmare car is right in that battle as well, it seems, at the moment. The top 3 in GT3 separated by about 12 seconds as well.
Yeah, it's getting to that point of the race where the sun's closed back in, and there's quite a few battles forming, and it's not just in one category, which is always really nice, as we've now seen the Seawolf car trying to sit behind this battle for Checkitz. But we also need to have a look at Liam Rance, who now I believe is just getting past, or getting in the solution, I should say, of João Barbosa, who's they're getting really close now, as they've obviously cleared the traffic that's been in between them over the past couple of laps. and they're now starting to get really close. But we also can't forget that Checkits is trying to get past as well. So Checkits is really trying to get up that position. So we've got two battles at the same time here.
Yeah, and Janssen is really close to Molle as they head into the Porsche curves. He can't make it work through there though, as the Senna just gets in between those cars at the moment. Janssen couldn't quite get through, as we're seeing now a drive-through penalty is being given to Arduini, the number 33 at Drive Game C LMP2. Not entirely sure what that is for, but they're going to have to come through the pit lane and not stop, but they're going to have to lose a load of places with that little drive-through, and they're probably going to drop behind Varga.
Yeah, don't really want to be getting drive-through penalties at all. Unfortunately, do you know the reason for that?
No, I don't know the reason for it. I just saw it pop
we
up.
can try and get a message from Nick as to what exactly that was for, because I personally haven't seen anything directly that would be penalty worthy, so maybe we haven't caught that. So yeah, it could be good to see exactly what that's for. But yeah, this battle is still going for these two places, ninth place I should say, ninth place in LMP2, with also Michele Molle in 8th place is trying to get involved there, but also Liam Rance is getting really close as well, coming into the final corner. So I think there could be maybe two overtakes on this lap. So it's a bit hard to see, but Liam Rance now is really getting the slipstream coming up into turn number 1 and 2, although Duxton's trying to get past, and also eating Brits. That's really going to hamper him as he tries to decide what the safest option is to be coming into turn number 1 and 2. And that's getting really close there coming into the chicane. So it seems that Barbosa will be able to hold on to that for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, big lockup from the Hypercar there down the inside, as now we go back to Blake Checkits trying to get through on Tony Janssen. He's right in the slipstream at the moment, but can't really make anything work because Janssen has got the slipstream of Molle at the moment, and that's really not helping. But now he's trying to go for it down the inside into the chicane. He's going to be late on the brakes. Janssen is going to try and hold it though, and now they battle still wheel to wheel on the exit as well, and there could be side by side all the way along the straight with one of the Corvettes involved here as well. Are they going to split it either side, or are they going to go the same way? They're going to go to the right hand side now as they squeeze past on the run to Mulsanne corner. Janssen has got the inside line with Checkits on the outside. Who is going to break later? It looks like it's going to be Janssen to hold on to that place, but now with maybe a bit of a crisscross, will Checkits try and get the run on the exit? He's so close behind, right in the slipstream as they head towards Indianapolis.
Now this is getting really close. Checkits did such a good job, but being on the outside of those two Mulsanne chicanes is very, very difficult indeed. You definitely want the inside line there, so that's why it wasn't possible. And now he's getting the big slipstream, but he's actually being blocked here a little bit because he was actually too close to get a real slipstream. So now he's going to have to go round the outside of the kink before Indianapolis, and he has to back out of that one because he didn't have enough. Because if you are actually too close, you don't get the sort of slingshot effect coming past them, because when you arrive at their car, you don't have a big speed difference. You actually want to be a little bit further back, so by the time you arrive at their car, you have got about a 10 to 15 kilometer advantage rather than only about 5, which makes it a little bit difficult, as we saw there for Checkits. But this battling is now letting Molle get a little bit further ahead, and it's also letting D'Amelio catch up a little bit in the background as well.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very exciting stuff at the moment in LMP2. But we have just ticked off another hour, by the way, or we're very close to doing so. 1/4 of this race is just about complete. But while that is just about to happen, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in a few moments with the final round of the EEWC here at GTR 24H, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans will return in a couple of moments.